Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, barber to the stars.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city, Sweet Hope, Chicago. 22 is 4, 446. Come on, baby, now get your business fixed. Come on, honey, don't you?
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
And, of course, the gentleman with the hedge trimmers is the real Marty Levinson. And, Marty, thank you so much. This haircut you gave me is so good that for 3 weeks I haven't had to go back. So thank you so much. Take care. Want to say, by the way, this program is sponsored in part by Lund Gardens Condominium, which I forgot to say on another show. So sorry about that, Lund Gardens Condominiums. We'll try to get you in the credits. And in any event, I want to thank my entire technical crew, Sonny Hersh. Check us out on the World Wide Web at www.ntnm.org. And if you click on Now Showing, you will see a new box that says Internet. And then under it, if it says Available, all these shows will now be available on the Internet worldwide. But you will have to catch them first on, make sure you don't have dish, you have regular cable, and you'll see them first here. But after they finish airing on the cable shows, we were going to have them available on the Internet. I want to give a hearty congratulations to Joe Chuck-Che, who brings Alderman Stone here on his upcoming marriage, and he will be a happily married person by the time
this film is shown.
And Joe, congratulations and many, many happy years, and all the best to you and to your future wife and all the good stuff that's going to come from your future families. And thanks to Sonny Hersh, entire technical crew. And I do also want to point out that we were originally going to do 3 shows today, and the city council meeting ran late, but this gentleman was nice enough to call me, as also we were going to have the county board people on, both Stroger and Pareka. Stroger's people at least called to say, like, hey, the city council's running late, doesn't look like we'll be here. I'm still waiting for the call from Pareka's people, although I did call Eric Cohn at URQ Media. I'm sorry we forgot to call. He had an emergency. Well, anyway, take it for what it's worth. Anyway, our guest is the mayor, not the mayor, the vice mayor of the city of Chicago, but the alderman of the 50th Ward. And, well, I have some chopped liver because I guess, well, we're going to find out what happened in city council. It's Alderman Bernard Stone.
Chopped liver, not foie gras.
Right, okay. But, I want to tell you, I think that band got more foie gras to be served in Chicago than ever before.
No question about it.
I think more geese and ducks have been overfed, stuffed, and tortured because of that law than ever happened before.
Yeah, it's like prohibition.
Yeah, exactly. It's
everybody became a foie gras-er.
The Women's Christian Temperance Union in Evanston are the people that started the mafia in Chicago and financed them.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
That's the reason Bert and I introduced the repealer today, and we were joined by a half a dozen others who said the biggest mistake I made is voting for it, and I'm going to correct that mistake today. And something like 5 or 6 other aldermen joined with us in the repealing ordinance today.
So it hasn't been voted on yet.
No,
it was introduced.
It'll go to the health committee, and then hopefully we can get it passed.
The truth is, actually, if there were things you were going to ban, I think there are animals that are tortured much worse than foie gras. Not that I'm approving of foie gras necessarily, but you know what? Then you get into a whole category of things. Let the market.
That's exactly what's wrong with the ordinance. Number one, we shouldn't be going into people's kitchens. Number two, we shouldn't be banning things like this. And I'm not for torture of animals. I'm opposed to torturing animals. But that's not the point. The point is the council is supposed to deal with the health and safety of people. This is not the health and safety of people. Yes, it is the safety of and the health of animals, but that's not our duty. Our duty is to take care of the health and safety of people. And that's what, we've gone beyond the course of our duty. And in doing so, we're interfering with the normal course of the people's lives. It's also spawns other aldermen, which clogs up our calendar, which also brings down the level of the hearings and brings down the respect that people have or should have for the city council. We're the laugh of the country. We're the laughing stock of the country. We're being joked about from coast to coast. If you listen to Jay Leno, he's even mentioning the foie gras ban. It's been mentioned on national radio. It's been mentioned almost on every program you can hear.
McLaughlin Group, Patrick Buchanan agrees with Joe Moore. I mean, I'm not Patrick Buchanan's fan at all. That was amazing.
If he agrees with Joe Moore, then we know we're right in repealing it.
As a matter of fact, by the way, I actually sent Joe Moore the web link where he could actually watch Pat Buchanan defending his foie gras thing on the McLaughlin Group.
That may convince Joe Moore to vote to repeal it.
I can't think of too many people more evil than Pat Buchanan, but that's...
Well, I've got to say that today is the day, this show is being taped today and it will be shown at a later date, and today is the day we sustained the mayor's veto on big box.
Which I'm glad to see.
So, and also today was the day that those 6 children were buried. And so, and in making my speech on big box, and of course, and as I indicated previously, we introduced the repealer on foie gras. I said, Joe, you did not have a good week this week. And he did not have a good week this week. And because he lost the vote on big box, we've introduced the repealer on foie gras, and of course, they had that unfortunate fire in East Rogers Park, and of course, and today was the funeral. So he's had one setback after another. But frankly, if once in a while, one good thing happened to him. He got mentioned in the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, that's nice.
The Wall Street Journal pointed out that even though he's the principal sponsor of Big Box, his staff spent over $30,000 at big box stores in the suburbs.
Oh, I shouldn't say that. I happen to like the guy. I mean, I don't always agree. I don't agree with him a lot. But
it's nice to get mentioned in the Wall Street Journal.
Definitely, it's one of the most prestigious papers in the country and one of the few good ones.
Well, Joe claims he didn't spend that much money, but it's interesting.
You know what? One of the things I'd like you to say from the last show, because you basically mentioned one of the biggest problems, because even though you're definitely for fair wages for people, the question...
Which I mentioned in the speech, there isn't a member of the city council that isn't for a living wage. There isn't one member of the city council that isn't for a living wage. So and that's why we're being portrayed. One of the things I said is it's not that simple. You can't say there are good people and there are bad people. You can't say we're all for it or you're for it or against it. It's the vehicle which carried the law that was bad. Not that the living wage is bad. Living wage is good, but not in this vehicle. As a matter of fact, as I indicated to you previously, he brought in the mayor of Santa Fe, who their law is altogether different than ours. He brought in the trustees from San Francisco. Their law is altogether different than ours. In fact, their law was exactly the same as the alternative that I had offered. And
which, by the way, is to put a minimum on the number of employees. In other words, if you have X number of employees or more, as opposed to a 90,000 square foot thing.
We currently have on the books an ordinance that starts out almost similar to what I have offered, but is limited in its scope. And I talked to Alderman Schiller today, and she said if we expand on that ordinance, we can bring it around to be something very close to the alternative that I offered, and would actually be pretty close to bring it close to the living wage ordinance. And I think she's going to be working on trying to work out the existing ordinance that we all voted for previously. We have a living wage ordinance in Chicago right now for people who do business with the city. But she wants to expand it like my ordinance, my alternative did, not only for people who do business, but people who take money from the city, or people, for instance, like banks who are depositories with the city, that all their employees should be paid a living wage.
I like that.
So that's what my alternative was, and that's what Alderman Schiller is going to be working on that, and hopefully will come out with, and it'll cover, incidentally, more people than the limited number that would be covered under, quote, the big box.
Yeah, if you have an
ordinance.
89,000 square foot business, or yeah, I think people understand. There's definitely a lot of neighborhood things going on.
There is. I just mentioned to you off the air before we started that one of the things I introduced today, too, was an ordinance vacating the alley south of the synagogue on Devon Avenue, B'nai Ruvain.
Rabbi Hersh, and don't forget, he'll be on the show for 2 minutes and 42 seconds later to tell you all about the big Simcha Beis HaShoeva, October 9th.
Well,
That's the night of Columbus Day, blocking off the streets, big-time groups showing up. Make sure you catch it. Mm-hmm.
well, they're expanding their synagogue because they're purchasing the alley between the synagogue and the property south of the synagogue, which they have purchased. Well, it shows that the synagogue itself has confidence in our community and is expanding.
Which I'm happy to see.
Which I'm happy to see. Anything, religious institutions, commercial institutions that expand are all good for our community. Today also we passed the TUI TIF, which you know that I've been fighting for a long time, which means a commercial expansion along Western Avenue and TUI, and it also means the finalization for the building of the school at Whipple and North Shore, because as you know, part of the funds going to the building of the school that come from the TUI TIF, and the other portion of the funds come from the Western Devon TIF. And there's no reason why we can't start on that immediately.
That's terrific. So you really think so? Oh, really?
Yeah. And, well, starting means finalizing the plans. That doesn't mean putting the shovel in the ground.
Right. So we're still talking a few years.
Oh, yes. Also, I know that within a few weeks we'll be finally working on the campus park over at Rogers Elementary School, and it's there we're talking about shovel in the ground and finishing it before the winter season comes.
Now, what is a campus park?
Many schools, not many, right now there's only one school in my ward that has it, and that is Stone. Has a south, it has a large area, open area, which has been converted from stone, rocks, gravel yard. It's been converted into an actual park area.
Oh, nice.
With bushes and lands and walks and benches, and that's what the gravel area just west of Rogers and north of what is Rogers Park is going to be converted into a campus park. So now that whole area will, because Rogers Park adjoins Rogers Elementary, but back of Rogers Park was this very ugly sort of stone gravel area where if the kids played on it, they fall, they're going to certainly scrape their knees or get hurt. So now that's going to be a park area, like a park area. Then, of course, Rogers Park itself is a major soccer field and also used for ice skating too.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a real nice campus and park area.
That sounds really nice. I do want to mention to people real quick that we can't give you a date for this, and this is something because we haven't given dates. Sonny Hersh, who's our entire technical crew, is also the chairman of the 24th District Advisory Board, who does all the court watch stuff, and Ed Smith, of course, is like major force there. We don't have a date we can give you before this airs, but we've had real problems in the neighborhood with an outfit called Talmud Realty, and I chair the 2412 CAPS meetings, and I can tell you every meet, like at our last meeting, somebody in this district, just 3 blocks from here, one of their buildings, somebody's operating an illegal garage, you know, a fix-it outfit out of there. Also, loud music's being played, more like around Richmond, and the neighbors are unbelievable. I mean, this always happens at Talmud buildings. Their buildings are mentioned more than anybody else's, and there's nobody even close. Not to mention, one of the neighbors reported at the last CAPS meeting, and 2 of them, as a matter of fact, that somebody honks a horn by one building, somebody runs down, exchanges a packet, brings back cash, and goes back into the building.
Well, that sounds like a drug house.
It does, but there's no question about it. And frankly,
as far as the working on automobiles and the loud music, that generally goes together. That's
these are actually 2 different buildings, by the way.
What happens, what happens sometimes is, if you're a poor landlord, and I'm not saying that these people are, but
they own about 7, 8 big buildings
here. But if you are, what you do is you move one bad tenant. If you get a complaint, you move them from one building to the next.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's the old shell game.
So that's why you sometimes get complaints against the same landlord, because it's probably the same tenant, and all he's doing is moving them around. The main thing is he wants to do is the bottom line, taking the rent.
You know, if anybody wants to email me, avy@ureach.com, avy@ureach.com, I will be happy to put you on the list for CAPS for the neighborhood. We'll send you all the court watch dates, and I understand about 10 people showed up at court watch last time.
Very good.
So religious leaders showed up, civic officials. I shouldn't say civic officials, but these guys are bad news, and we've got to either they should knuckle under and do what the law asks, or maybe you ought to sell your buildings, Talmud Realty. We're not big fans of yours. I'm not anyway, I should say. And so anyway, back to now Northtown Theater, Rockwell.
Northtown Theater, they're on I believe the October agenda of the Plan Commission, and the purpose of that is they've submitted voluntarily, incidentally, a voluntary plan development. If you drive by on Western Avenue, you'll see the height of the old Northtown Theater. First of all, people say, well, why are they tearing it down? It was one of the old standards. If they don't tear it down, it's going to fall down on somebody's head. This theater has been in building court for many, many years, not months, but years, because it's dangerous. That's the reason that you'll see that it's got the what do you call it? The scaffolding out in front, so it doesn't fall down on somebody's head, and it's going to be whether you build on it or not, the building's going to be torn down. But what's going to happen is the whole building is going to be torn down from where the theater started to the alley. And the plan that's coming to the Plan Commission is a plan that calls for a new building, which incidentally will include 2 smaller theaters, and will include a second-floor garage, and I believe, I'm not sure whether it's 3 or 4 stories of condominiums above, which will bring it to the height of the old theater, but all the way to the alley.
How high is the old theater?
About 60 feet.
Okay.
But it will not be as deep as the normal building, because it'll be the same depth as the current building.
So it'll be a shallower building.
Shallower building, and what that won't, obviously will not go all the way to the alley as many of these old apartment buildings go. It'll have one-for-one parking, which means, which currently there isn't over there in that area. In addition to which, the current owner also has purchased the old restaurant across the street and is building a surface parking lot for additional parking.
Oh, very good.
So, and it's a well thought out plan. It has nice lines, and it'll be presented at the Plan Commission in October. And while I'm talking Plan Commission, this show may appear too late with respect to the next meeting of the September Plan Commission, but in the September Plan Commission, two of the things we've talked about before that I will be on their agenda. One will be Park Plaza, and that is what I've talked about here before, and that is the restriction that it will only be used for senior citizen and either for
retirement purposes.
For retirement purposes or the type of living, assisted living, or similar types of uses as it is now. And the plan that was previously proposed is dead.
Good. Glad to hear that. That was my next question, by the way, and I think you're about to preempt my next one, too, with your next thing.
And the next thing in the agenda concerns the parking lot at the Von Rockwell.
Yeah, that's my next question.
And the only thing on the agenda is because one of my declared opponents in the coming aldermanic elections in next February has made it his big issue. The next, also on the September agenda, is something I introduced, but he thinks he's won a big victory because I introduced it. Well, okay.
Okay.
But I introduced it because it involves the vacation of the alley. The building is originally proposed went over the alley because the city owned the land on both sides of the alley.
This is Devon and Rockwell.
Devon and Rockwell. City owned the land on both sides of the alley, and what we had done is bridge the alley with the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth floor, because the building is 6 floors high. And we had bridged the alley, and the building actually went up over the alley. Just the alley was open below it. The Chicago Department of Transportation asked that we vacate the alley and close off the alley. We secured the okay of the neighbors, and they actually gave us a quitclaim deed to their interest in it.
Oh, wow.
And we vacated the alley, and the building now will be on the grade level also. It adds something like 1,900 square feet to the building. It's not a big deal. But in order to do that, it changes the plan development by the number of square feet that you're adding to the building. So as a result, we have to amend the plan development with respect to the square footage added to the building. So...
well, I'm afraid these people will have to take... Well,
so
go ahead.
Interestingly enough, he's filed objections that he wants to hear the whole plan de novo, or in other words, from the beginning. Well, that ain't the way it works, Charlie. You don't hear the plan from the beginning. This is something we've been working on for 10 years, and you're not going to come around at the last minute and hear it from the beginning. In fact, the permits are almost ready to be issued. All that's going to be discussed is the vacation of the alley. So, and he's also filed saying that the address is incorrect. Well, he's incorrect. It's interesting also.
So that alley's not going to follow through. That alley will break there.
That alley will be
That'll be very
end.
good for the neighbors there.
That'll be dead end. So, well, we were afraid of danger of vehicles coming from underneath the building. it's interesting. Now, you get this one. This one is...
Well, is Rockwell's going to follow through, though?
Rockwell goes through.
Okay.
This one is interesting. You people out there, this is only for Avi's show.
Thank you.
In filing his objections, and Mr. Brewer, listen in close, you used some preliminary information from the Department of Planning that could have only been available if you had someone planted in the Department of Planning. And you used it in your letter. So that means you got a spy in the Department of Planning, and we know it. Okay?
Oh, that's a great note. We've got exactly 1 minute left, by the way. And by the way, stay tuned. We do have Rabbi Hersh coming on to plug his Simcha Beis HaShoeva, Monday, October 9th. But first of all, I want to thank you very much, Alderman Bernard Stone.
And the reason we know it is because it was incorrect and was changed and corrected.
Oh.
And he used the preliminary stuff.
Which he only could have gotten if he had somebody inside the department.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. I want to congratulations to Joe Chuckshay on his nuptials and many, many happy years. Also, Sergeant Kalani, by the time this airs, might be Lieutenant Kalani.
Oh, that'd be good.
He's my sector sergeant. He's as much, I've had some great sector sergeants here, like Don Holman, among others, at 2412. Rob, we're going to miss you. We want to wish you luck, and up and on the way. He's going to be a commander someday in my book, and so will Lieutenant Holman. If people want to contact the Alderman's office, 312-744-6855. Thanks to my entire Tetracruku Hersh.
773-764-5050.
We're out of time. Bye.
Bye.